Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic Astrology Full Moon Report for April 26th, 2021. My apologies for being a little bit late with this report. I am recording it on a new device here, and I actually recorded it outside a few days ago, and I just was not happy with the sound. Because I was recording it outside, it picked up the sound of the wind, which I thought was really disruptive and distracting on the video. So I decided to re-record here inside. But the fact that the wind was a big element in the previous recording is actually very appropriate to this full moon, because this full moon is happening in the sidereal sign of Libra in the nakshatra of Swati, which is ruled by the Vayu tattva. It is ruled by Vayu itself, which is the wind or the air element itself. So what does that all mean? Vayu tattva. We will talk about it in this report. So let's get started. Okay, so this full moon is a very potent full moon. And I know I say that about all full moons, but this full moon especially, right? Because it is going to be aspected or given drishti or influenced by all of the planets, all of the grahas, except for Rahu and Ketu. Okay, why is that? Well, we have the full moon happening in Libra, right? In Swati nakshatra. And opposite that, of course, is the sun. The sun is always opposite the moon for every full moon. We know that. But what's special about this one? Well, the sun is in its exaltation sign of sidereal Aries. And if I didn't mention this before, let me take the opportunity to mention it now, that I am a Vedic astrologer, and we use the Vedic sidereal zodiac, which is more precise, I find. That's why I use it, and that's why I'm a Vedic astrologer. Anyway, moving on. So we have the sun in the sidereal sign of Aries, which is the exaltation sign of the sun. Now the sun is our egos. Aries is very much about the self. So we can find ourselves having some egoic clashes with others during this full moon. Either we can come up against other people's egos, or we might feel compelled to push our own egos onto others, even though the moon or our minds and emotions wants to make others happy, right? Because Libra is that sign of care of the other, of considering the other, caring about the other, wanting there to be harmony, wanting to be the diplomat, wanting to be the peacekeeper, wanting everybody to be happy, wanting there to be a win-win situation. So our minds and our emotions are geared towards that. However, we have that sun, exalted sun in Aries. So we're not doing it out of purely, for the other person, right? We're not doing it out of purely altruistic means. We're doing it most likely because we're wanting something for our egos. We're wanting validation. We're wanting approval. We're wanting love. We're wanting something for ourselves, for our egos, more specifically, right? Libra is lorded by the planet Venus, and the planet Venus is sitting with the sun and Mercury. Actually, I believe it was yesterday that Venus and Mercury were exactly conjunct in the sidereal sign of Aries. So this also can make for misunderstandings or argumentative sort of situations where we can feel slighted, or we can feel insecure, or we can feel like we're coming up against somebody else's ego, and it brings up old insecurities or old habit patterns or old maladaptive ways of dealing with conflict, but there can be conflict, okay? Sun, Venus, Mercury, all in the sign of Aries. Then we have Rahu in Taurus. We have Mars firmly planted in Gemini, right? So Mars is giving its 5th aspect from Gemini to the moon. Again, another indication of argumentative situations, of conflict, of misunderstandings, right? So really during this full moon, it's important to be aware of this and try to bite your tongue, or if you are feeling anything, try to process it with yourself before you go and explode on another, which it can happen. So be aware of that, right? Mars is in a parivartana yoga with Mercury, because Mercury is sitting in Mars' sign Aries, and Mars is sitting in Mercury's sign of Gemini. All these planets are giving their influence to this full moon. So with Sun, with Venus, with Mercury and Mars, it's lending its rajasic, or its kind of energetic influence, right? We also have Jupiter that is in Aquarius. Jupiter moved into Aquarius about 3 weeks ago. So we should all be feeling the shift that Jupiter has brought along with moving and changing into its sign of Aquarius. And we have Saturn giving this moon its 10th aspect from its own sign of Capricorn. So Jupiter's 9th aspect, Saturn's 10th aspect on this moon lends and influences in a way where we are going to learn lessons. Jupiter will give the wisdom. It's a 9th aspect of teaching us. And Saturn is giving its 10th aspect of like the ability to work on our problems, or work on whatever egoic imbalances we have going on, all right? So these 2 major outer planets will help us to reflect and to see what it is that's causing us to react to others in a particular way. Now, Swati nakshatra, like I mentioned before, is ruled by Vayu, which is a tattva. It is one of the primordial elements. Vayu itself is the air, and the wind is a result of Vayu Tattva. A lot of people consider Vayu to be wind itself, but it is also the air element. Now, it is personified in the ancient Indian scriptures or texts of the Ramayana, right? Where Lord Hanuman Ji, which is depicted as the monkey god, he is the loyal servant of Lord Ram. Lord Rama is personified as the sun. So we have Ram on one side, which is the king, and Hanuman on the other side, which is Vayu, or the servant of the king. Now, we can be feeling very unstable. Why are we feeling unstable in the mind? Because the air is an unstable element, right? But we can take the higher sort of octave, or the higher sense of Vayu Tattva, as personified by Lord Hanuman, as a way to serve the ego, but not the egoic ego, but the soul ego. Does this make sense? Like the soul, because the sun is also the soul. Every single planet, every single sign, every single element, every single everything is not just one thing. There's many layers and many facets to what we are looking at, right? So either we can we can react in a way that's like selfish with the small s, dealing with our egos, or we can serve the higher self with the big S, or the soul, right? The same sun that helps all the flowers and the plants grow It's the same sun that can burn us, right? If we're not aware of how we are interacting with it. So Swati nakshatra, right? The wind, the Vayu, Hanuman Ji. It is symbolized by a blade of grass, like a young sprout, a shooting sprout of grass, which bends with the wind. So what does that indicate? It indicates we need discernment and flexibility, not discernment, flexibility. The second symbol of Swati is the sword. That is the indication of discernment. So that it implies that we can have many different choices or avenues available to us during this full moon. And we have to have the right discernment. We have to be able to see what it is that which way we want to choose. It's not going to be easy though, because the planet Rahu is the planetary lord of this nakshatra. And the planet Rahu, or the graha Rahu, tends to bring with it confusion. So I just want to say here, I don't think that this is the best full moon to make any sorts of major decisions, because we're going to be faced with many choices. We're going to be not so clear, even though it's a full moon. With Swati nakshatra, there could be multiple options. And we're just not going to know which one to take. So during this full moon, it's important to remain open, to remain flexible, and to remain balanced, right? Because it is Libra. We're going to want to be the diplomat. We're going to want to make everybody happy. We're going to want to be the peacekeeper during this full moon. However, there is some sort of ego gratification in doing this. And this is something that you need to be aware of within yourself. Are you doing unto others because you are looking for something for yourself? Are you looking for validation, for love, for approval, for any kind of egoic need? If so, then this is a very potent full moon in which to examine where that's coming from and apply the necessary lessons to grow from it. So usually if we're doing something in order to get some sort of validation from others, eventually it leads to some sort of resentment towards the other. So during this full moon, we can introspect and see where it is that we can give ourselves that approval. We can give ourselves that validation. How can we be what we are looking for in others? If we're doing it out of a true altruistic sense for the other, then that's fine, then the ego won't feel any kind of loss. But if we're doing it for any other reason, for any kind of validation, then there are better ways in which to fulfill those egoic needs. And this full moon is the perfect full moon in which these patterns and these solutions can become illuminated. So that's going to do it for me today. Thank you all for your patience and your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it is of benefit to you. Please like, share, subscribe if you don't mind, so it helps these videos to become more circulated on the YouTube. And if you would like a consultation with me, please feel free to contact me on my email below, visionaryveda@gmail.com. Thank you all so much. I hope again that you enjoyed and benefited from this video. And until next time, take care. All right, enjoy the life. See you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Happy full moon, everybody. Bye-bye.